Just waiting for people to turn up. While we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. I look like a lumberjack. I look like I'm ready to cut down some trees, but anyway, just a bit chilly. So where are you from? I'm in Vancouver, Canada. What part of the world are you from? Just asking people where they're from. Pembroke, Ontario. I think there's a Pembroke here in BC too. Pembroke. Oh, but it's spelled different. That's Pembroke. We have Pembroke. Oh, okay. Interesting. Tennessee, South Georgia, Boston, Massachusetts. Excellent. Edmonton. You know, I always thought that Edmonton was way up north, but it's actually quite close to Calgary. I was surprised at that. I found your content 2 weeks ago and got the toddler tantrum course legit yesterday. Excellent. Perry, New York. I think I've heard of that before. I haven't been there. Okay. Oh, we got enough people. Let's get going. I'm not feeling 100% today, so if I cut it short, that's why. So anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I'm Lisa. Just not feeling 100%. Anyway, my name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I have a wait list for coaching right now. But anyway, let's get going with your parenting questions. Prince George, BC. I've never been there. Never been up. Well, I don't know exactly where Prince George is. I know it's quite far up. I've been to 100 Mile House. I think that's the furthest up I've been. I don't even know if I'm right on that. I don't know. I know I've been to 100 Mile, but it must be 100 miles north of Vancouver, right? So, okay. So, Memphis, Tennessee, Claremont. What's NC? North Carolina. Okay, got it. Niagara region, Ontario. Oh, is that what you call that area? Niagara region. Okay. I've been to Niagara Falls when I was a kid. There's a picture of me standing there with my lime green outfit and my headband in my hair. I would have been like about 8 years old. So it would have been 1968. It was a long time ago. Okay. Lyndonville, Vermont. Never heard of Lyndonville. Morgantown, West Virginia. Denver, Colorado. Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Oh, that's cute. Connecticut. I know it's Connecticut. Naples, Florida. Okay, so I'm just waiting for your parenting questions. Tucson, Arizona. Claremont, Oklahoma. Claremore, sorry. It's fascinating. Omaha, Nebraska. Is Nebraska a state? Omaha. It must be. That's not a state I would ever have remembered for some reason. I haven't heard of that in a while. Okay, sorry. I'm going to turn that off. Okay, I hope you didn't lose me. My alarm just went off. That's why. Okay, now, Green Valley Lake, California. Green Valley Lake. Okay, 8-year-old girl, polite around us, mom and dad, sassy when away from us. How do I help her maintain same behavior when not around us? That's usually the other way around. So I don't understand that. I would need to assess that situation. Usually they're better when they're out than they are with their parents, especially at 8, because there's social pressure. It's more embarrassing to be rude to other people, right? So yeah, I don't quite understand that one. How do you deal with a toddler age 2 who refuses to let us strap her into the car seat? Okay, you just hold them there over the car seat. They could be like in an arc, you know how they go all stiff, and just wait till they take a breath and fold them in half and get them in there. My friend and I used to call that the karate chop. So we'd wait till they took a breath and then we'd just chop them and get them in there. You just make it happen. If they're being defiant about something, you've got to take physical action. That's how you deal with it. So I'm just popping another pill, Pepto-Bismol. I'm not feeling great. I think I ate something not too good today. I don't know. If I go, that'll be why. Scotland. Hi, Scotland. Okay, how do I get my 6-year-old to listen and obey the first time I ask something? Well, that's not on her. That's on you. It means she doesn't respect you. So work on your leadership skills. You might want to check out the boot camp course. It's all about you and your leadership skills. It's just a tell. You got to earn that respect. Everyone asks me to fix their kids. It's not them. They're just reacting to your parenting. Between the ages of 3 and 12 years old, their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. Okay, so work on your parenting. You don't try and fix your kids. You try and educate yourself on this stuff. You got to earn that respect. They're not going to hand it to you on a silver platter. You got to work for it. So I'm just chewing my Pepto-Bismol. I don't know what I ate today. Okay, Alberta, Canada. When I was a kid, we used to do the road trips because we had family across Canada. I haven't been anywhere in Canada, since the 70s, aside from Vancouver. Not terrible. If I travel, I tend to get on a plane and go like other countries. Okay, this is the same answer as the last one. 4-year-old repeats questions and requests even though I've repeatedly answered him or addressed him. Just means he doesn't respect you. I would say that's enough. No more questions. I'm not going to answer them anymore. So if you know they're being disrespectful, they don't act like that when you're a leader. Work on your leadership skills and it takes care of the rest. It's hard work. Getting respect is hard work. You got to earn their respect. Maintaining it's easy. Getting respect is hard work. London. It's not London, Ontario, is it? Is that London, the UK? I remember when I was a kid, we have a city, like a suburb sort of here called Surrey. And I remember thinking, and then when I was a kid, I heard that there was a Surrey in England. And I thought, wow, did they name that after us? It's the other way around. Kids. Okay, this might be coaching, so I don't quite know. Okay. Child not biologically mine. We got custody 2 years ago, but mom did drugs when she was pregnant with him. Now he is, now he's purposely mean and defiant towards me. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's because of the drugs. He might have had NAS, narcotic addiction syndrome. I've worked with those kids. That means that they lack impulse control. That's the problem. But it might not have anything to do with that. I don't know. Was he assessed as having NAS or whatever they call it where you're from? Different places call it different things. In other words, were they born addicted? So I've worked with those babies. I used to volunteer in a care facility, and they were in there, and oh my goodness. You weren't allowed to touch them. I couldn't hold them on my left side because my heart was over there and the heartbeat might throw them off into a seizure. So I had to hold them here. I couldn't look at them, couldn't talk to them, and I had to breathe through my mouth. So, or with a mask on. Back in the day, that was a big deal, right? To put a mask on, because we weren't sick or anything. But yeah, they couldn't feel my breath or anything. And I couldn't move. It was bizarre. Yeah, they lack impulse control, and that can evidently go right into adulthood if they are born addicted. I've heard. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that's what they told me at the time. So that was London, UK. Yeah. Australia. Hi, Australia. That's where my kids were raised. Someone said, thank you for your wisdom. It's Charla Coles Parker, for your wisdom and insight. You know, I remember I've always been kind of had a common sense head on my shoulders. And I can remember thinking when I was young, even in my 40s, I thought I've got some wisdom. It wasn't really till I finished menopause and I'm in my 60s now, I thought, I get it now. You just feel a bit calmer or something. Wisdom doesn't mean you're smart. It just means that you've been around long enough and you've been open-minded and learning enough that you do get some wisdom. But it's hard not to get some wisdom if you've been around for 60 years. But it wasn't until I hit around 60 that I really kind of thought, oh, I get it. It's a calmness too. I don't know. I always thought I had wisdom. I don't think I did. There's got to be some benefits to getting old, getting wrinkled, you know. Wisdom's one of them. Being calm's another one. Okay. What other consequences can you use besides cleaning and electronic time for 4-year-old who doesn't like cleaning and doesn't mind not having electronics? Don't worry if they like cleaning. They're still doing a good deed. They do something bad, then you replace it with a good deed. There's usually some cleaning chore that they're not going to like. It could be wiping down the what's that called, the rail, not the rails, what's it called, where the sliding door and the window, you know, all the frame stuff, that bottom part, what's that called? I can't remember. Anyway, it's usually something like that. And then if they don't watch electronics, they must have something that they like that you could take away for 24 hours. I hate using food, but if you have dessert every night, it could be that. I don't like using it, but if that's all you got, right? And it's only temporary. Lisa, you've changed our lives at home. Well, I hope for the better. I'm so thankful your reels popped up for me. Oh, excellent. Thank you, Amber. You know, I always say I give the advice, I tell you what to do, but you're the ones who do it. So pat yourselves on the back. I give advice to a lot of people that never do it. But the fact that you actually took action is that's on you. You should congratulate yourself. Okay, 4-year-old retaliates, talks back, defiant. Okay, that's on you. That's a reflection of your parenting. Between the ages of 3 and 12 years old, all of their behavior is a direct reflection of your parenting. It's a tell. It means he doesn't respect you. Okay, if he doesn't respect you, he doesn't respect himself. So work on your leadership skills. Check out my boot camp course. It's up in the link above, and it's 5 weeks. It's all videos and written stuff. It's an online course, and check that out. It teaches you how to be a leader. You lead, they will follow. Oh, he's been tested. Oh, this is the child that was born with a drug-addicted mom. He's been tested for autism and ADHD. He was only child not in NICU after birth. He was only child not in NICU after birth. I don't quite understand that. I don't know. You know, I never really worry about the diagnoses because I've worked with kids who I used to call them alphabet kids. They had so many acronyms after their name. And I never worried about that. I was just about mothering and connecting with them and mentoring them. That's all I focused on was my connection with them. And yeah, that was my focus. So whatever they have, whatever their challenges, you still do the same stuff. It might just take longer, a little bit more patience. Yeah. Do you recommend behavior board for grandparent time also? I usually don't because it's a parent thing. It's a leadership thing. And I'm not encouraging you to try and train someone else to be the leader of your children. But if they're daycaring or if they're if you drop them off for like a week at the grandparents, you might want to do it there too. But I don't really like to comment on that because I only teach parenting. And I'm kind of funny about that. I kind of say, yeah, don't get other people to do it, but you can get them to report to you. Like, let's say you have a nanny at home where the kids are in daycare. Don't expect those people to do the behavior board. They report to you what happened, then you follow through with the consequences. We're putting the parents in the leadership role here, not the grandparents. But you can. It's not a bad thing. It's just not something I really talk about. What are you guys talking about? Also interested. Interested in what? What am I missing here? I'm lousy at scrolling. I get dizzy. I'm not feeling great today anyway, so I don't really want to scroll. How long do you let a tantrum last? The last tantrum, the longest tantrum I ever heard of, I think was about 4 hours. And this kid was quite a bit older. He was 6 or something. And it was like the last stand. These parents just dug their heels in. I think the kid threw up. He was turning pure white. He was doing it to himself. You know, the kid was alive. He wasn't dying or anything, but he was so dramatic. And that was his last tantrum. So I'm not saying you should do that, but I didn't recommend that. I mean, it just happened. The parents reported back to me and they said, yeah, last week it was like 4 hours. And then he never had another one. Because they learn, you know, this ain't working. Past the age of 4, they only do what works. Past the age of 4. It's a little bit younger. It's actually usually 3 years and 9 months, but I always say 4. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's too long of it. I'm not going to read that whole question. The reason is that these videos are, this live is turned into videos. So, and also I like to make it quick. So if you do a huge question, I'm not going to read it out. It's just too big. So try and keep it succinct. Did I say that right? I don't think I've ever used that word before. Well, I wouldn't put it quite like this. What is the earliest you can teach little ones coping skills? Frustration, anger, disappointment. You don't teach them that. They learn. It happens organically if you're a leader. Don't let tantrums ever win. Never let a tantrum win. Guide them in the right direction. Teach them that, I used to say this to my kids. If you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of it because I'm your mom. So have consequences, consistent corrective actions right in the moment with a toddler if they do something naughty, but they'll eventually go towards the light. Okay. So yeah, it's not like there's no these, it almost sounded like you want to talk to them about it, the mini therapy session stuff. They learn these things organically if you're a good leader. It just happens. I watch your videos daily in practice. Excellent. It's so funny. I'm noticing, because I've been on here now for a couple of years, and I do notice people recognize me in the streets. Oh, I probably shouldn't say this. I was at the bank today. She actually messed something up. She got all flustered. I have to go back to the bank tomorrow. I made a call and I said, I think she messed something up. She got all flustered. I'm like, I have to go back to the bank tomorrow. I hope I get someone else. Anyway, I hope she's not. I don't think she'll be watching, but yeah, it's quite funny. But yeah, I'll see people in the street and they'll see me. And this is how I know they recognize me. It'll usually be young moms pushing a stroller. And it's quite, I just wish they'd come up and say hi, but they don't. This is what they do. They look at and they go like this. And then they look away and then they look again. Look like they're afraid of me. That's funny. Like they just stare. You know how babies just stare? They just stare. Just come and say hi if you see me in the street. It's kind of creepy when you just stare at me like that. Out of the 3 kids, he was the only one approved to go home with mom after. Oh, you're still talking about that? Yeah, that's a big story. That would be coaching. If you want my help with that, that's a big story. That's not something I could just answer here. Oh, something that I was, there are some things that I just forget to bring up, but in coaching, I don't know why my best stuff comes out in coaching and I often forget to talk about it. What came up today it came up twice today, actually, with 2 different clients, is that, you know how your kids fight? When they're toddlers, there's not much you can do, but when they're like 4 or 5 and they're still fighting and older, do you know why they fight? They usually fight because of injustices. They feel that you're favoring one or the other one's unfair and grabbing stuff. So it's injustices. They don't fight when you're a leader, because a parent who's a leader knows how to deal with injustices, and the kids trust you to deal with it. They would be more likely to just go to you and say, can you sort this out? And yeah, it's not tattling. It's just trying to pull you in to help them problem solve. So parents who are leaders don't tend to have kids who fight. It's very rare. It's actually extremely rare. They only fight because they don't trust that you can handle the injustices that they feel they're going through. Does that make sense? Anyway, comes up a lot in coaching. You know, it kind of gets to the point where I keep saying, well, if you're a leader, this would get it. You know, that's true though. A lot of it, when I'm coaching, I don't tell people how to discipline a lot of stuff. I just say, here's your leadership skills. Let's work on them. And then that behavior will start to drop away. The bad behavior drops away as you get better at leadership. That's how this works. Leadership is not about discipline. Leadership is about connection, being consistent, being fair, being reasonable, okay? Being organized, structured, routines. That's what leadership's all about. The discipline is a tiny part of it. But everyone on here asks me about discipline. If you're not a leader, the discipline's probably not going to work for you anyway. Yeah, you got to work on your leadership skills. A lot of it is body language, tone of voice. Like that 8-year-old kid that he hadn't met me before, and I was going to be working with him. And they warned me. They said, he's a handful. And they all were. I never worked with an easy kid. And as soon as he met me, he said to me, he's 8. And he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. He went like this. Oh, like she knows what she's doing. A lot of it is just body language, tone of voice. And plus, I have no fear of fit scenes, tantrums, or meltdowns. That's where all the lessons are. That's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. I was kind of disappointed he didn't have a tantrum because I know how to deal with it. I know how to get respect through that. But yeah, he didn't. He was good with me, actually. And then whoever assigned me to him said, "Oh, you must have got him on a good day." They wouldn't even give me credit for that. They were so mad. I thought, why can't I handle him, but you can? I remember that. It's funny. Okay, well, I'm older too, right? Where can I get the behavior board? In the link above is everything I have to offer. It's the free behavior board, the mini toddler courses, the big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. There's a wait list for coaching though, because I'm really busy. Anyway. So you got a 5-year-old, almost 5-year-old who pees and then has a fit because they've wet the bed. Yeah, good for you. You're not making a big deal. You never ever criticize or discipline bodily functions, right? So, and I always say, don't let them eat or drink anything 90 minutes before they go to bed. That's not 19 or 9, it's 90 minutes, an hour and a half before they go to bed. Okay, don't let them eat or drink anything. If she's still peeing in the middle of the night, then get her up at around midnight and do a sleepy pee, like bring her in, put her hand in warm water and over the toilet, and hopefully she'll pee. So yeah, there's ways of sort of getting them used to this. Yeah, you don't want to shame her, never. Okay, 10-year-old who's defiant, being mean to mom, work on your leadership skills. They're not mean. They're very lovely when you're a leader. They react to you if you're a leader. If it just says you're not a leader. You know, I don't fix kids, I teach parents. Work on your leadership skills. You lead, they will follow. It's just the way it is. Look at the pool story. I don't know where it is here on Facebook, but it's called The Example of Leadership Parenting on Instagram and TikTok. It's the very first video. I pinned it. And my daughter does all this stuff, but I did pin it myself. I actually did that all by myself. And but I don't know where she's got it on here. It's probably the first video, I guess. I don't know. I've been locked out of Facebook on a lot of my machines here, so I don't even want to try and get into it. But I can get into it on my phone now, so I'm happy about that. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, look up the pool story. It explains leadership. It just does. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. You don't focus on the bad behavior. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. If you're focused on discipline and bad behavior all the time, it's going to grow. Okay, you deal with it, then you focus on the good kid. That's what the pool story is. I have another story that I tell about a teenager I worked with, and it's the same as the pool story, just on steroids. It's the next level up. I only tell that one in coaching because it's kind of rough, but it's the same idea. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. That's what leadership is. Don't get caught up in what the consequences are. That's not the point here. The point is consistency. And you're sending the message, hey, you make a mistake, there's going to be a consequence. Don't worry. There's not some magic consequence that teaches them right from wrong. By the way, they already know right from wrong. They're just making the choice to do the wrong thing. Toddlers do not care if you understand them. There's a whole, it's just a myth out there that the reason why they tantrum is they feel misunderstood. Toddlers could give a crap if you understand them. They just want what they want. Okay, they would much rather get what they want and be misunderstood than be understood and not get what they want. Okay, they already know right from wrong. They just don't follow the right path yet. They're little, they're toddlers. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. That's why I hate all those mini therapy sessions discussing all the big feelings and big emotions. That's to feed the mom's ego. It has nothing to do with the child. Nothing. Toddlers are not about mini therapy sessions. They're about actions. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. Watch how they play and join in. You don't take them to the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Number 4 is kind of similar. You discipline them in their world. Their world is all about actions, okay? So you use consistent corrective actions right in the moment. You can't use the behavior board under the age of 3, and they're not about words. They don't care. They're not listening to you. Or they are, but it doesn't sink in. It goes in here and flies out the other end. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. So have some patience with them. You just got to, I'm teaching you here with those five steps, how to manage your environment and how to manage yourself and how to manage your toddler to the best of your ability, because they are crazy. They're going to do crazy stuff. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Try and make sense of that. I know I had a client the other day and she said, I looked right at my 2-year-old and I said, you shouldn't hit mommy. It hurts her. And he actually said, okay, sorry, mommy. And he gave her a hug and then he hit her again. She was absolutely blown away. Why would he hit me again? I said, because he's 2. He didn't listen to that therapy session. He just was parroting what you wanted to hear. He's not listening. Yeah. But she was so distraught. He said, no, mommy, I won't hit again. And he did. She was absolutely stunned. I was like, yeah, of course he hit again. I was like, yeah, exactly what I would expect. Well said, I'm a daycare provider. Parents don't want to hear their child has been fussy. They only want to hear how well they have been. Yeah, I remember when my kids both started grade 1, I said this to the teacher. I said, if my kids ever step a toe out of line, never discipline them. That's my job. I'll do it. And the teachers love me. Of course, my kids never step a toe out of line, but that's not their job. That's my job. You got to send your well-behaved children to school. Daycare is different. Okay, they're toddlers, they're nuts. But by the time they're 4 especially, that's your job to send well-behaved children to school. It's not the school's fault. It's not the school's responsibility. It's yours, okay? And you can do this. I don't know why parents are very quick to blame the school, very quick to blame everyone else, very quick to blame the child. But rather, they don't take responsibility for the child's behavior. It is you. Do the parents' rules need to be the same for each board during the boot camp? The rules for the parents don't have to change. The only thing that has to change is the kids' rules. You wouldn't believe how few kids ever notice that. Doesn't even matter what age. You wouldn't believe it. I'm shocked at this. I would think if that was me, I know me. I remember me as a kid. I was very analytical. And if I had seen that my rule had changed and my parents hadn't, I would have said, why hasn't your rule changed? The odd child will. But it's that rare. So the only thing that needs to change is the kids' rules. But if there's something that you want to correct in yourself, then change your rule. If your kids are older, say, what do you want my rule to be? We can have a different rule for all of us this week. Bring them in on it. Yeah. But you'd be amazed that they're so narcissistic. Kids are we all were as children, because they're growing and forming. It's a lot of work, right? So you'd be surprised they're just focused on themselves on that board. They don't look at you. They're just all about them. Okay, 12-year-old has a bad attitude every time he's asked a question. For example, did you put the dog out? How do I handle this? Well, that's in the nagging department, but you need to know if he's put the dog out. So that's actually quite a tough one because there's no way of telling if it's been done, right? So maybe he has to, every time he's put the dog out, there has to be some sign and say, look, from now on, I don't want to nag you. You don't want me to nag you. I don't want to nag you. So from now on, every time you've taken the dog out, flip this little thing, have a little lever somewhere or some sign somewhere. Or, you know what I mean? Some sign that he has actually taken the dog out. Or you move his leash over to a different, I know he's not probably on a leash when he goes out in the backyard, but just have some symbol that when he's been taken out. Now, might they cheat and do that anyway and the dog pees and poops all over the house? Potentially, but then you would impose a whopper of a consequence. That would be a big one. Kids telling other kids to follow the rules and stop doing things right before I go to tell them? Or I don't know what you mean by that. How do you teach kids how to deal with bullies? I would love to talk about that, but I'm running out of time. I've got to go over to Instagram now, so I'll talk about it on Instagram if you want to follow me over there. There's a whole method on how you do that. I'm not feeling 100%. I might have to go. Anyway, I'll keep going as long as I can. Anyway, I'm heading over to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, look at the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Happy parenting, and I'm heading over to Instagram, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where all my lives are saved. Catch you later. Bye now. Catch you later. I don't think I've ever said that before. Was I trying to be cool or something? I don't know. Just fell out. Catch you later. Do this. So I'm just laughing at myself. Every so often I try or I don't anymore, but when my kids were teenagers, I'd try and say something cool, and it never landed well. It's just not the thing to do. Okay, so I'm still on YouTube. Okay. Toddler tantrums. I need the age. 2. Okay, check out my tantrum course. It's in the link in my description on YouTube. Anyway, okay, I've just got people coming into my live on Instagram. They all turn up in one big clump on Instagram. It's the only place that happens. I'll get like 150 or 200 people right away. I don't know why. I've looked into it. I can't figure it out. Okay. And I know you get notifications, but so does everyone else on all the other platforms. So I don't understand it. Okay, so let's get going. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. By the way, I was just nattering on because YouTube's here too. So I was talking to them. It looked like I was just kind of crazy, just talking to myself. Anyway, yeah, I'm not feeling 100%. If I do go, sorry about that. But I just thought I'd throw that out there. But I don't like to, if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I usually try and be somewhere. So anyway, let's get going. I was going to talk about bullying. Someone on Facebook just asked me, how do you handle bullying? Here's what I did. I was in grade 2 and I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of class. When I came out, I had the hallway all to myself, big school hallway. It was so exciting. But coming out of the principal's office was the school bully. So it was me and him, like the OK Corral, and he saw me coming. He was grade 5, I'm grade 2. And he was a bully. Anyway, so he saw me coming and he's licking his chops. He's thinking, oh, he's going to get me. Anyway, my last name was Hanky my maiden name when I was a kid. And everyone in this school, they all know everybody. So he came right up to me and he goes, Hanky Panky. And I said to him, I prefer Snot Rag and Boogie Bundle. Oh, well, got to get back to class. He kind of looked confused and never came near me again. So what I had done was I had agreed with him, used humor, and then I gave him an out. I didn't know I was doing that, but I've analyzed it over the years. So I role play with kids at home. I pretend I'm the bully, then I pretend I'm them, and we role play back and forth and have fun with it. And when you're teasing them about something in the role playing, don't make it something that is true, that they're actually getting teased about. Put a silly hat on and say, oh, stupid hat. Yeah, the whole family has stupid hats. It's genetic or something, And then what's your favorite game? So you agree with the bully, use humor if possible, and then give them an out. Well, what's your favorite game? Or I got to go. Or what do you got for lunch? So because if you don't give the bully the out, an easy out, he'll come at you again. So that's what I do. I've taught bullying to thousands of kids over the years through schools and that. And anyway, seems to work. But if it's physical bullying, adults have to take care of that. And also don't teach your children to fight back. Because not all bullies are cowards. Some of them are practiced fighters and they're good at it. So I would never teach a child to physically defend themselves. I would teach them to go and find the nearest adult. Will your system work for a child who has severe ADHD? Yeah, this is where I learned all this. Yeah, just might take a little bit more patience, but it's not a disability. ADHD is not certainly I don't consider it a disability. Those are all the kids I worked with. That's where I learned all this. So yeah. Okay, this one is kind of a touchy subject, but I want to address it. Okay, this is from Sarah Schmelz. Sorry, I probably butchered your name. Anyway, this is on YouTube. Hi, Lisa. Can you please give some advice on how to deal with my 4-year-old son talking about people with body image, for example, larger people, birthmarks? So in other words, he points out when someone is different looking, right? In front of the person so that they can hear. He knows, okay, I would just say, you don't comment on other people's appearances. It's none of your business. And I would make that very clear. That would be he's 4, he can understand that. I would just make it really clear. I say, you do not comment on other people's appearances, not on their bodies, not on their birthmarks, not on anything. Okay. And just make it a standard rule. You got to be consistent with that one. And then there's a consequence if he does. Okay. Because he's too old. Like when they're 2 and they stare and they do, people understand that. But a 4-year-old, he's old enough to understand you don't do that. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to answer this, but I'm going to tell you why. Is it possible to stop a 2.5-year-old to stop hitting when it takes place away from you? In our case, a daycare. No, that's up to the daycare to figure that out. You get it sorted out at home though, okay? And then you can tell them what worked at home and see if they have time to do it. They don't always have time to do all this stuff, and you can't expect them to parent for you. But yeah, if you're not right there, they are in the moment. Under the age of 3, they're in the moment. They don't stop and think before they act either. It has to be consistent corrective actions. So, but then if they're 3 and over and they're still doing it, then you have the daycare report to you, and then you have a consequence at home, and they can have consequences at daycare too, but you got to double up with that. But under that, no, you got to be right. You got to be there because they're in the moment. They're right now. Okay, 3-year-old who has hit mom in public when he doesn't get his way. How do you react to consequence in that moment? You just say, okay, when we get home, we'll discuss this. Okay, it's called deferred punishment. You don't punish when you're out, or you don't have a consequence when you're out. You just say, you hit me, we'll discuss it when we get home. And then you're in the car. What are you going to do? I said we'll discuss it at home. But I want to know now. I want to know now. Say, if you keep at me, I'll make it worse. I'll make the consequence worse. And then shut it down. Don't answer after that. So yeah, it's deferred punishment. You address the bad behavior, but then you say we'll deal with it when we get home. Okay, so it's deferred punishment. Gives them time to sweat, you time to think. So I'm going to scroll ahead to make sure people are still here when I answer their questions. I want to address this. I just talked about it in Facebook, and I know a lot of people come over from Facebook. And YouTube, sorry, you're going to have to hear this again, but it's just something that came up twice today. And I thought, I don't talk about this enough, but it comes up all the time in coaching. It's siblings who are fighting. If you're a leader, they don't fight. Why is that? If you're a good leader as a parent, your kids don't fight. Why would that be? It's because they fight because of a feeling of injustice. When you're a leader, they trust you to take care of business. They would be more likely just to say, Mom, can you please figure this out? And then you come in and you figure it out. And then you give them coping skills and how to figure it out in the future alone, on their own. But yeah, children who have leaders as parents rarely ever fight. Yeah. Why would they? If they know you're going to take care of it. Because you're very good at making things fair and reasonable. You're not going to catch everything. Does that make sense? Yeah, that came up twice today. It comes up a lot. There's a whole bunch of stuff in coaching that just never gets discussed here. Because coaching is so personal and we get deeper into stuff, right? But yeah. You know what I also notice with my clients is that they'll have some successes, but every time we meet, I say, so, what are your wins? What are your fails? Whatever, how things going? And then they just talk about all the stuff that's not going well. And I say, yeah, but they'll tell me what went well. And then they'll go, yeah, but blah, blah, blah. They're very slow to congratulate themselves, very slow to take credit for anything. So all they're doing is focusing on what they're doing wrong. When you're learning how to do this, if you're taking the boot camp course or whatever, celebrate the small wins. That leads to the big ones. So yeah, don't get discouraged. But where's your vest from? This was my son-in-law's long sleeve hoodie. And I cut off the sleeves and I sewed a new zipper in it. Oh, the zipper was broken. That's why he didn't like it. Yeah, so I didn't finish it off real nice. I only made this for around the house, and it is so cozy. Yeah, I wouldn't wear it out in public, but geez, it's cozy. But yeah, he borrowed my car today. Hope I get it back in one piece. I wouldn't load it if I didn't think I would. Okay. What about a 5-year-old that laughs during consequences and laughs in my face to egg us on? Well, you've already answered your question. It works. That's why they do it, because it eggs you on. Yeah, that's why they do it. If a kid did that to me and laughs in my face, I go, oh, whatever, and then just walk away. But if they really get in your face and they're physically in your face, I'd say, you keep this up, I'll make it worse. But don't show any anger, any frustration, or they just won. Yeah, your anger, your frustration is their win, and they know it. Oh boy, do they know it! Because you said to egg us on, to get ya. Yeah, don't let it get ya. How do I get my 3-year-old to take me seriously, not laughing when I say no or redirect? Well, work on your leadership skills. Again, everyone wants to fix their kids. We're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. When you're a leader, they don't do that. They just don't. Yeah. So work on your leadership skills. You lead, they will follow. I got respect with hundreds of kids. Was it them or was it me? Hundreds, teenagers, toddlers. Was it them or was it me? Was I fixing them or did I know how to lead? What do you think? I might only meet them for an hour, manage to get their respect. Was it them? Did I just get them all, those hundreds of kids on a good day? Or was it me? Was it my leadership skills? It's your leadership skills. 100%. Check out my boot camp course. It's all about your leadership. That's it. By the way, I just want to thank you. A couple of weeks ago on Facebook, I went to 200,000. No, I don't know where I am now, but anyway. And then on Instagram, I went to 400,000 2 weeks ago. Now I'm at like 422,000. In 2 weeks, I got 22,000 new followers. I don't know. I don't understand. My daughter does all that. But I just want to say thank you. It is not, I don't talk about it a lot because it sounds kind of like I'm bragging, but I'm not. I'm just extremely grateful and blown away by it. You know, who would have thought? I'm just sitting here, an old lady talking about kids. But anyway, I just want to say I'm very grateful for that. I appreciate it. But you know what? I put a lot into this. Like, I love what I do. And I hope that comes across. I hope my passion comes across because I know how to enjoy parenting. I know how to enjoy children. I don't just want you to raise good kids. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy the process. Parenting was the most fun period of my entire life. Might just say the rest of my life was boring, but I don't think so. I think I really did love it. And I wallowed in it. I miss it. And I want you to enjoy parenting like I did. So that's why I'm here. And I love passing this message on because I know it's helping because I've been doing it for 17 years and I know it's helping parents. And I know a whole bunch of parents are enjoying parenting because of my advice. It keeps me going. I love it. I love what I do. I want you to enjoy your kids. Okay, so I'm going to scroll ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer. You got to tell me the age. If they're digging in their heels and they won't do what they're told, well, then you just have a consequence. Everyone wants to, they expect to snap their fingers and their kids are going to do what they want. Think about this. We all, adults and everything, we all run our lives according to consequences. Think about it. We pay our taxes so we don't go to jail. We pay our mortgage so our homes aren't foreclosed. We don't speed often or as much as we want to because we know we'll probably get a ticket. If we're caught, we'll get a ticket, right? What if the cop just said, can you please not speed? You know, you're never going to get a ticket, but can you please? I might go, yeah, right. Like without the consequence, where's the lesson? We all need to learn to be accountable. It's like if you don't turn up to work, you don't get paid. It's like that. Think about it. The sooner you teach your children this, the better. So if they won't listen and they need to, and they know they're supposed to, then there's a consequence if they don't. Check out the behavior board. That's completely free. It takes about 30 minutes to arrive, by the way. So don't email me right away. Like, I just ignore it. If you say you didn't get the behavior board, I usually just ignore it because I know you just haven't waited the 30 minutes. I have a third-party delivery system, so that's why it takes a while. Anyway, it's working for me now in other ways, so that's why I'm not changing it. But yeah, check out the behavior board, or if you want the next level, check out the boot camp course. It's all 5 weeks. It teaches you how to be a leader. Someone said, what is your gentle parenting input? Is there I don't know anything about it. I teach what I know. I teach through my own personal experience. And that is not my genre at all. I've never looked at it. I know I talk about the big picture stuff, the old-fashioned authority style parenting and the newfangled pleaser parent. And there's a whole bunch of stuff under those umbrellas, I'm sure. But I stay in my lane. I've never read a book on parenting or kids. I don't know any parenting coaches. I don't know anybody else out there. I stay in my lane because I teach from experience. I teach what I know. I teach what kids taught me. Why would I look at what anyone else is doing? Would make no sense whatsoever. I'd probably disagree with it all anyway. Not to say that it's wrong. It's just that my method, I've learned what works for me and all the kids I've worked with. That's what I teach. I teach through my own personal experience. There's 2 criteria, though. If you're ever going to look up parenting advice, I would look for this 2 criteria with the source. Number 1 is they have to have finished the job with their own kids. Have they lived with teenagers? What are their young adults like? What are their young adult kids like? They have to have lived with teenagers and raised them into adulthood. How could they talk about parenting if they haven't lived with teenagers yet? How do they know where they're going in the teen years? And number two is they have to have had experience with hundreds of other kids. I got respect when my kids were small and I sailed right through the teen years. I didn't learn a lot because I got respect when they were so little. I worked with hundreds of kids. So those are the two criteria. They have to have finished the job with their own kids, and they have to have worked with hundreds of other kids with all sorts of challenges. If you're taking parenting advice from someone who just has little children, that's like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. How do they know? How do they know if what they're investing in today will pay off tomorrow? I can predict exactly what's going to happen. Like whenever some parents will hire me and they'll say, you know what we've been doing? And I'm like, yeah, I know why you're where you are. Because you got to know where you're going. So that's my advice. It's experience-based. A huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs. They're very good at what they do, but parenting is personal. It's home-based. It's different. It's just different. So yeah, that's all I teach. I don't teach teaching. I keep getting asked to go and speak to schools to teachers and that. I don't know anything about teaching. It's a different role. A lot of stuff does cross over, but a lot doesn't. Like one thing that people think should cross over is the reward chart for good behavior. Wonderful in the classroom because it's not personal. It's a business. There's 30 kids on it. They don't take it personally. They don't feel targeted. If you have a reward chart for good behavior at home, you know what you're telling your kids? You're normally rotten, but if you should happen to be good, you'll get a gold star. See that? It's not good. It's very unhealthy. So anyway. 7 and 5-year-old boys constantly fighting. When do I step in? I step in right away. By the way, I just been talking about this today because it comes up all the time in coaching, but I don't talk about it enough in the lives because I tend to just be reacting to your questions, right? If you're a leader, your kids don't fight. Because most fights with siblings are based on a feeling of injustice. When they have a leader as a parent, you take care of business. You make sure things are fair and reasonable. And if one kid is unfair, get the other one to say, can you please come in and problem solve for us? This is what's happening. They will do that. Kids who have leaders as parents, or they only need one, if they have a leader as a parent, they don't fight. They trust you to take care of business, to look after things, to manage things, to make things fair and reasonable. So yeah, work on your leadership skills. Again, it's all you. Everyone wants to know how to fix their kids. I don't fix kids. I teach parents. Do you know when I was working with kids and they would act out under my care? This is other people's kids that I didn't even know. And I would have them for maybe an hour that I'd be like mentoring, working with them in a classroom or whatever. And if they acted out under my care, I used to think, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? They weren't even my kids. I didn't even know them. That's what a leader does. A leader takes responsibility for children. They are just victims of us. They're victims of your parenting, victims of my mentorship, whatever it is, they are reacting to you. So work on yourself. I always took full responsibility for kids. But what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong with this kid? What does this kid need from me that I'm not doing? I haven't read them correctly. I'm missing something. So that's what a leader is. I didn't blame them. How do you manage your frustration with toddlers when they're just being toddlers? You manage the environment as much as possible, and I'll tell you how you do that. This is my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is you child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler under the age of 3, you do so in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They start to look at you differently. Number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, you do so in their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions right in the moment and they learn through repetition. It won't happen the first 20 times, but it might happen the 50th or the 100th time. They learn through like a knee-jerk reaction. It's like they'll touch a hot stove 10 times, but they won't on the 11th. It's like that. They don't really stop and think before they act. It's more of a knee-jerk. They just don't touch the stove, but they don't think about it a lot. So anyway, and number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like they're brand new. So yeah, your expectations are usually way out of whack. Toddlers and teens are notoriously the two most difficult ages. Toddlers are my least favorite age because they're all feet, no brains, and I'm a safety nut. So I used to worry when I took them out. I had to watch them like a hawk. So that's why they were my least favorite age, just because of the danger safety issue. But teenagers are my favorite age. Once you understand toddlers and once you understand teenagers, they're a piece of cake. Yeah. It's your expectations are out of whack. Most people expect too much from toddlers and too much from teenagers. I won't go into all that. Teenagers, they're my favorite age. They're my specialty. I started my business doing teen crisis work and all that life and death stuff. I still do it, but I don't lead with that anymore because I'm trying to prevent that. Do you have any training in ABA? Oh, what is that? I look that up all the time. So no, I obviously don't have any training in it. And plus, applied behavior analysis. Yeah. No comment. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trained in any way. I just have experience. I know what I do. And there's lots of other things that do work, but I couldn't do it and I wouldn't do it. I only do what worked for me with kids. So yeah, no, I don't do that. Not at all. I do know what it is, by the way. I had to look it up, but I remembered. As soon as I looked it up, right. Yeah. I was going to be a child psychologist, but they kicked me out because I asked too many questions. This was like 45 years ago. And oh God, they were so patronizing. They treated children like imbeciles. I just hated it. So thank God I never did that. They've improved it now, I'm sure. Okay, what books do you recommend? I've never read a book on kids or parenting. I was out in the field working with kids. The kids taught me all this. So one day I hope to write a book, but my daughter says that now's not time. She does all my business. She's my business partner. She does all the planning. And so I said, can I write a book now? She goes, no, it's not the right time, Mom. We don't have time. It's like, oh, okay, never mind. When did your kids start saying full words and animal noises? I think my son, when he came out of the womb, I swear, God, he never shut up. He was chatty. My daughter was slower to talk. But yeah, there's no like, don't worry about these thresholds, these, what do they call those things? I always forget the markers, whatever it is. What's the word for that? When they should be doing something. Don't get too, it's a general idea. It's a general suggestion. It doesn't mean that they have to follow it. Now at 6 months, they're going to be doing this. And at 7 months, I knew someone years and years ago who didn't walk or talk until she was 3 years old. And her mother used to tell this story all the time. And she was very funny. And she'd say, yeah, when she finally did get up and start talking, she never shut up and she ran. So yeah, they're all different milestones. That's it. Don't get too caught up in that stuff. How do we stop the stalling at bedtime for a 3-year-old? That's actually a very straightforward system. I have a course called Bedtime Battles, and it is a whole system on how you do it. It's one night of hell, usually. It's hell. I think a couple of weeks ago, I had 3 families going through it all on a Friday night. I actually thought about them because I usually turn work off when I'm in my personal time, but I was thinking about I wonder how they're all doing. And they all did really well. It's hell though, but it's one of my most successful methods because it's fast. It's hard, but it's fast. Mealtime is one of the most difficult things to deal with. It can last the longest. But yeah, check out the Bedtime Battles course. It's in the link above with all my other courses. What are your critiques from your parents' parenting? My parents. What are your critiques from your parents? I don't know what you mean by that. You mean, what do people criticize about my methods? The one thing that they always ask me, and I say I can't help you with that, is in-laws. I say the only thing you can handle in-laws with, and they get frustrated because they say there must be something I can do. No, I can't tell you how to manage other adults. That's not what I do. But what I do suggest is I say, when you undermine my parenting, it hurts my feelings. If they don't respect that, I can't help you. Like if they're that selfish, they don't respect that, I can't help you. Like I would never tell my kids how to parent. Why would I do that? That would just be criticizing them, right? Another thing that is, I hope you're asking for criticism because that's what I'm going with. Another one is, how do I manage my own emotions when I'm going through all this? I really can't help them with that. Like that's on them. That's like when you go to Weight Watchers, how do I manage my appetite, when I'm trying to lose weight? It's kind of, unfortunately, you just kind of have to suffer through some stuff. It's just going to be hard. The only thing I say is just trust the process. Once you start getting results, it'll get easier. But yeah, initially it's very difficult because you're so used to being reactive instead of proactive. I teach how to be proactive because that's what a leader is. Stop reacting to the kids and stop letting them get under your skin. I would say those are two things that I really can't do a lot to help them with, but it comes up a lot. Is that what you meant? Critiques? I'm assuming. I'm sure there's other stuff, probably behind my back though. My parents are great. My clients are fantastic. I'm pretty tough on them too. Because I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to get you results. So I don't hold back at all. Sometimes I think, oh, geez, I wish I hadn't said that. But then they get results. So yeah, I got to let it fly because I'm here to get your results. Okay. So I'm going to scroll ahead to make sure you're still here while I answer your questions. My actual parents. My parents. My parents on how I parented? Is that what you mean? They thought, well, my dad died when I was young, but he thought everything I did was great. He couldn't see any flaw in me. He was blind. But my mom, she just said, I don't know how you do it. She said, she goes, I've never seen a mother goof around like you do and get respect. I remember once I was chasing the kids around the house with underpants on my head. And she goes, how do you mix that goofiness with respect? And I didn't know how to answer that, but that's what I teach. I want you to have fun with your kids. I'm assuming that's what you meant, but I've said it anyway. So yeah, mom she always said, I'm just amazed. How do you do that? So I probably answered wrong again, didn't I? I don't know. Oh, well. Someone asked me something a couple of years ago, and I went off on this huge tangent, and it had nothing to do with what they meant. And everyone kept telling me, that's not what she meant. That's not what she meant. But once I get on a tangent, I just go for it. Do you work with parents that have autism kids on the ASD on the spectrum? Yeah, I do. But that's a specialty. It's only in coaching. I can't generalize with that because we have to throw mud at the wall and see what sticks. Or I also ask what's worked in the past and what's working now because they're all different. They have different sensory issues and all sorts of, and social issues. Potentially, some of them are really high functioning. So, but yeah, I do. It's only in coaching though. I don't give advice on autism, and that is more of a disability. Like ADHD, I don't consider a disability at all, but autism I do. Depends where they are. Thoughts on timeout for a 2-year-old? You must be new here, because I often say I hate timeout. I can't stand it. I think it's mean. I think it's horrible. Yeah, I can't stand it. I would never do it. Yeah. What can I do if my 2-year-old only wants his dad? I would have said, well, you're stuck with me, and then just ignore the commands. I remember once my kids didn't want to have a bath or something. I can't remember what it was. And my husband was giving them a bath. And I was the leader in the family. He was the pleaser. It's usually the way it goes. He's a leader and a pleaser. But we were always on the same page. That's what makes it work. My mom was the leader. My dad was the pleaser. Anyway, I could hear the kids saying, one of the kids said, I want mom. And then I always told him, just say you're stuck with me. Don't give in to that. And so I heard him say, well, you're stuck with dad. And then they said it again. And I said, your dad said you're stuck with him. And they never said a word after that because they knew if I came in there to give him a bath, I would have got a horse brush out and gone. Yeah, they're just doing it to see if they can control you. Generally, that's usually what it's all about. Do both parents have to be strong leaders? No, I just addressed that. No, not at all. They only need one leader. And the pleaser parents, usually a leader and a pleaser parent or a less dominant leader parent. There's usually one that's the stronger one. You'll know who it is. It was funny. I had clients the other day. They were just this darling young couple. Oh, why did I say that? All my clients are young compared to me. Anyway, but I said, well, who's the leader? Because they were sort of discussing who, and they both said, oh no, I am. Like they were both convinced they were the exact same. I knew which one was more the leader, and so did that parent, but the other one was convinced that they were the leader too. It was really cute. But yeah, you can both be leaders, but there is usually a strong one. And never, ever, ever argue. If you do, don't do it in front of the kids. Stay on the same page. And if one's a pleaser parent and just never wants to discipline, like my ex didn't want to do it, and I didn't want him to because I didn't want him messing the kids up. I knew what I was doing. I wanted him to be the pleaser. We used to call him the treat master. He was very good at all that stuff, and I wanted him to have that role. It was great. That was his special thing. He'd take them out for donuts or fun stuff like. Whereas I would never do that. So because that was his role. So anyway, but what he said to me was sometimes they would push him around when I wasn't there. And so I said to him, just say, leverage me and say, do you want me to tell mom? And they'd both go, nope, never mind. So he would leverage the leader. Does it make him look weaker? No, it makes us look like we're on the same page. They already knew I was the leader anyway. It's no secret, right? That's why they would push him around a bit more. But then as they got older, they didn't do that anyway. Oh, gotta go. I gotta go over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Okay. Thanks so much. And we'll talk to you later. Bye now.
Remembering Uber Eats gets
Oh, darn it.
groceries means you're
Sorry, TikTok always starts with ads now. Didn't used to, just started a few months ago. Okay. Okay, this is from Ashley on, this is a very good comment. It comes up a lot. I struggle to get into my kids' world. I don't enjoy doing their stuff. Any tips? So in other words, you hate playing kids' games and stuff. A lot of parents, a lot of my clients say that. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to wait till I get a few people coming on here. But I'll tell you a story. Just like I'm going to write it down here so I don't forget. And that'll kind of explain it. Well, I've got a few stories now. I'm rolling here. Okay, just waiting for people to turn up, and then I'm gonna answer Ashley's question on YouTube because it's one that I think is really valuable. Okay, so welcome to my live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. I'm just here answering parenting questions as best of my ability. Oh yeah, if you look at the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. There's a wait list for coaching, but you can send me a message and we'll go from there. Okay. I got enough people. Yeah, I got enough people. This Ashley, is it? Yeah, Ashley on YouTube said that she doesn't like playing kids games because I always say you enter their world to connect with them. You play and you say, you watch what they're doing, then you join in and play with them. So I'll give you a good example of what I used to do with my kids. This is kind of a funny story. I was doing the laundry. I did the laundry every day. It's in Australia. And we always hung it out in the line there. And then you bring it in all in our master bedroom. And I'd lay it all out in the bed and sort it. So a neighbor dropped by while I was doing this. And I was sorting the laundry and I was chatting to the neighbor. She was in my room with me and we were just chatting. And she goes, "What's going on with your kids?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Why are they screaming?" Because my kids were known for being really easy kids. Like, she goes, "Why are they yelling?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And I didn't even hear them. And she said, "I've never heard them yell like that before." And I said, oh, I know. And so I said, "This is why." Every single day, I would put all the underpants on my head and the leg holes were the eye holes. And I'd chase the kids around the house as the panty monster. So just little things like, it was fun. I can't imagine not enjoying that, seeing your kids running and squealing from the panty monster. So it's not like you have to sit and play a game for a half an hour and just run around the house with underpants on your head. That's enough, right? I always did silly stuff like that. They love that stuff. My mom, she always said to me, "How do you do that? You're so goofy, and yet they respect you." And I didn't know how to answer that. But my kids knew if they had ever stepped a toe out of line, those underpants would have come right off. I would have gone, "Excuse me? Oh, sorry, Mom. Sorry." They liked fun, Mom. Why would they sabotage that? Why would they? We had a fun life. Anyway, that's just one of the things I did. I did a lot of weird stuff with my kids. Yeah, every single day I was the panty monster. I remember once, my poor son, he was down in the rec room with some friends of his, and I hadn't done that panties on the head in like 10, 15 years. He was a teenager at this point. And the laundry room, I had to get past them in the rec room to get to our laundry room. So when I was in the laundry room, I don't know what came over me. Of course, I shoved all the underpants on my head. And then I just casually walked past with the laundry, pretending like nothing was going on. And his friends, I caught a glimpse of them off the peripheral, and they were like this, like, and my son was just like, "Oh, geez." My mom's just the panty monster, just ignore her. So I just walked past as if nothing was happening. So it sort of got a laugh, but more confusion than anything. Yeah, I don't recommend doing that with teenagers. Yeah. But his friends were used to me, so they Okay. Okay. Any advice on getting preteen, teen boys interested, independent, and hygiene, hand wash, shower? Okay. That's a tough one. The reason is that we never deal with stuff that you want them to do or you want them to stop doing until we've increased your relationship and strengthened it. So whenever people hire me to work with them when they have teenagers, I always say we're not even going to address those behaviors until we strengthen your bond and your connection with them, because they're not going to listen to anything you say until you've got a little bit of leadership under your belt and you're starting to show that things are changing. So yeah, I can't really answer that until you start to work on your leadership skills. Check out the behavior board and keep it really easy, and ask their advice. Like if you yell, always put no yelling as your rule, and then say to them, or you can even say to them, what do you want my rule to be? What do you think your rule should be? So start small, bring them in on it. And don't call it a behavior board with teenagers, call it an accountability chart or family law, family, whatever, family board. And say it's just so I want to be a better parent for you. Don't say because you're a rotten teenager, say I want to be a better parent for you. I'm not saying they're a rotten teenager, but you know what I mean. Oh no, I won't mention that because they might be watching and they'll know who I'm talking about right now. Although they said I could tell the story. No, I don't want to because I haven't thought through how to edit it out yet. And if their family saw this, they would know who I'm talking about. So it was a really cute story. Never mind. Just in case their family's listening. Do you have podcasts? Not yet. It's in the works. It's in the plan, but not yet. No. Although I took my very first opportunity. I get asked to do a lot of stuff with people and I never collaborate, but I am doing a podcast. Someone invited me on and my daughter does all my planning. She's my partner in the business. And she said, yeah, I think you should go on that podcast. And so I am going to be on a podcast, evidently. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know who they are. I don't do any. My daughter does all that. So she just tells me what to do. No, I don't have a book and I've never read one. Yeah, I'd like to do a podcast one day, but I'll be honest. I only have so much time and we're very busy. My daughter and I, she's coming on full time though in a couple of weeks. And she did have a corporate job, but she's decided she's going to work with me full time now. So, and we might be able to do a podcast. We'll see. I don't know what she has planned. Yeah, she does all the planning. Thank God. I'm terrible at all that. I'm like this. Oh, I'm going to write a book. And then I start it and don't finish it. And I'm just terrible for all that planning. She's very good at organizing me. How do you access behavior board after subscribing? It will turn up in an email in about half an hour. That's the way it works. Any advice to get a 3-year-old to listen? She clearly has signs of ADHD. Children with ADHD are not disabled. They have no problems listening to a leader. So work on your leadership skills. Remember, you're just not asking the right way. So work on you. We never fix kids. We're teaching parents here. You lead, they will follow. Children's behavior is a direct result of your parenting between the ages of 3 and 12 years old. Under that, they're kind of crazy, and teenagers are kind of going a little bit different. I won't go into teenagers. That's my specialty. I love teenagers, but your parenting does change. You don't want to be their leaders. You don't want all their behavior to be a direct result of you. You want them to take more leadership role, and you let them manage the small stuff, and you just come in for the big stuff. But yeah, work on yourself. Work on your leadership skills. Any tips on getting 2 brothers, 9 and 11, to stop fighting? I just was talking about this in the last 2 lives here on Facebook and that. And when kids have a leader, they never fight. Because most sibling fights are as a result of injustices. That could be feeling that one kid is bullying the other, one kid gets more than the other, one kid is teasing the other, or one kid is favored by the parents, in their minds anyway. It's all injustices. Leaders, there's no injustice. Kids don't feel any injustices when they have a leader because they can always come to you to solve the problems. They trust you to take care of business. That's why kids who have a leader as a parent don't fight. Why would they? Doesn't make any sense at all. They trust you to take care of business, to sort things out. Because all fighting is as a result of injustices. There are no injustices when you're a leader, because they come to you with everything. You're on the ball. You're on top of things. You know what's going on. And also, parents make a big mistake with a lot of this fighting too. They tend to punish the hitter. not the instigator. They tend to punish the one that has responded to the teasing, to whatever. So I always say that you punish the instigator, not the retaliator. Not condoning what they did, okay? What you do is you say, next time that happens, you come to me and I'll deal with it, rather than hit. Anyway, it's a whole process. But yeah, kids who have a leader don't fight. So work on your leadership skills. Check out the boot camp course. That once you get yourself set up as a leader, it takes care of itself. Anyway, another thing that parents ask me about a lot is attitude. And I say attitude is never anything that you address, because there's no point whatsoever. Attitude is something, it's the very last thing to correct itself, and it happens organically. So once you've gone through the boot camp course or coaching or whatever, then after that's over, and then you keep going and you're just consistent, and then the attitude drops away. It just does. It happens organically on its own. It's the last thing to go. So they might stop hitting, they might stop lying, but they're going to still have some attitude. It's the very last thing to go. My best friend's kid is a terror. How do I handle him? Negatively influence my child. Nothing you can do about that. I've lost lots of friends over that, because my kids were very passive, like they would never have defended themselves even. And whenever I had a friend who had a bully, and that was our friendship base, was our kids usually, then I just dumped the friend. If they were a friend otherwise, not just through our kids, then I would just see them at night without the kids. Yeah, I wouldn't put my kids through that. Nope. I love my kids more than I love my friends. There's no way I would put them through that. Yeah. And I would say to the friend, why don't we get together with the kids? I'd say, look, they just don't get along. How about we just go out alone? Don't say your kid's rotten. Say they just don't get along. How about they'll know what's going on anyway. So yeah, that's okay. If they don't respect that, then they're not a friend anyway, right? Oh, would you advise the boot camp course if you're not even a parent yet? No, I wouldn't. No, not at all. Just keep watching. And yeah. Yeah, the boot camp course starts at 3. I can't say much, but I might have something coming up for a younger age. So. What do I do if I ask my 13 and 11-year-old girls to clean room or desk and they don't? Well, is that a rule? You got to make it a rule. Also, I never expected my teenagers. I allowed them to have a dirty room. That was the one thing. And I'm not OCD, but everyone thinks I am. I'm not. I truly am not. I'm not. Not that I'm defensive about it, but anyway. But yeah, I allowed that. You got to give them something, right? And so I said, you can have a dirty. Like you don't have to clean your room. But they had to change their sheets every week, and there was no food or drink or food, drink, dirty laundry allowed in their rooms. That was it. That's the only rule I had, because I didn't want it to smell, right? But they could have as much mess as they want. But yeah, I just allowed that because I thought, I know you got to give them something as they get older. You got to give them some freedom. You got to give them some freedom to express themselves. And a dirty room, or not a dirty room, but a messy room, big deal. I would go in, and my rule was I'm allowed to go in, pick up the mess, and clean under it. Or sometimes I'd get them to vacuum their room, but it was they have to pick up so much stuff. And then they just, my son was the messier of the two. But I let it go. Did it bother me? I got used to it because we had a great relationship. So what's more important? Yeah. How important is that really? My kids, this is kind of embarrassing, but I have no filter. So, my son still laughs and tells everybody about this. Well, when I'm around, he mentions it. That they had school clothes or outside clothes or public clothes and private clothes. My kids could never have sat on my furniture with outside public clothes. Yeah, I didn't have a, one of the, he said you have a chamber that you had to walk through and get sprayed before you can get into our house. It wasn't quite that bad. But yeah, I had them change. There's no way they would wear school clothes, especially. They're sitting on the floor and gross. So yeah, there's no way I would let them sit on front. They had to come in, go straight to the laundry room, take off their uniforms, and then they had to get into their house clothes. He still talks about that. I don't see anything weird about that. I thought it was completely normal. Plus, another thing too is like if you know you're excessive in some ways, like I am excessive with cleaning. I love cleaning. I just do. I get so excited when I buy a new Pine Sol or something. You should see me. I'm skipping all the way home. Can't wait to open it and sniff it. So anyway, but I never wanted my kids to feel that they had to be that clean because I know I'm over the top. So I'm still kind of a private cleaner. I don't like to clean in front of people. It's my private little world. I just find it relaxing. It's like meditation to me. So, but yeah, I never wanted to put that on my kids. So they never saw me cleaning a lot. I sort of did it before first thing in the morning before they got up. I did it. Yeah. So I never put that on them because I don't think everyone has to be that clean. I do, but not everyone does. I was telling my daughter yesterday, I go to the gym every morning. I leave at about 5:30. And before I've gone to the gym, of course, my bed's made. I've aired out the whole home. I've vacuumed or dry dusted, mopped, cleaned the bathroom. And the kitchen's always clean anyway, but I like to clean the bathroom all before 5:30. And because I maintain clean, I don't clean dirty. I maintain clean. It only takes me like 15 minutes to do all that. So yeah, how nuts am I? Eh? Makes me happy. Okay. Did I see? Wait a minute. Do you know who I'm looking for? Wait a minute. Who did I see turn up here? Dot. Is that you? Okay. This is someone who had a baby, first baby. It's Dot. There's just one little dot. That's the name. So I'm wondering, is that really you? I haven't seen you in ages, or I haven't seen your Dot in ages. What time do you wake up? I wake up around 5:15. And then my hygiene. I mean, I'm fussy here and with my home. So yeah, my whole hygiene routine. Yeah. One young guy at the gym said, "You always smell so good." He said, "You smell like candy." I didn't know it was candy I smelled like, but that was so cute. He says, "You always smell so good." He doesn't talk like he's a man, but to me, he's a little boy, right? Probably 30. How did you become a morning person? I've always been a morning person, and it really helps when you got kids because I always beat them and I always had time to myself in the morning. Plus, I basically went to bed when they did. So yeah, not a night person at all. Yeah. I don't understand this question from Ash. How to not panic when taking my 3-year-old to the playground, or is panic normal? You mean panic because you've got social anxiety, you don't like going out, or you're worried about safety? I don't quite know what you mean. What's making you panic? Is it just going out, or is it a safety issue with the playground? I don't know. Actually, I'm going to get going soon. Thank God I'm feeling better. I wasn't feeling very well when I started this. I'm going to tell you a funny story just because I like telling it. And it just goes to show parenting, it's just messy. True story. I was 8 months pregnant. I was literally, I think, 2 weeks before I had my daughter. So I was 8.5 months pregnant. My son had just turned 5. He turned 5 and she was born 2 weeks later. So he just turned 5. Now, he was not an adventurous child. His daughter is 5 months old. He's flipping her around. She's laughing. Oh, he would have had a fit. He was a little rose petal. He was very cautious. So he never there was never any danger with him because he never did anything, never put himself out there physically. Anyway, so I took him to like a McDonald's. It was actually called Hungry Jack's in Australia where we lived. Burger King is called Hungry Jack's. Anyway, so I took him to a Hungry Jack's, and it was one we hadn't been to before. And so we went outside in the playground outside there. It's all caged in, you know how that goes. And they had this huge slide that was like a tunnel, and it went like that. And it was really high. And the stairwell, the ladder to go up had a wire cage around it in case you fell, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, it was big. And I don't know why. He said, "Mommy, can I please go on that slide?" I don't know why I said sure. I don't know what came over me because I know he is not, I don't know why he wanted to go up there. I guess he saw other kids doing it and he thought, oh, I can do that. Anyway, I had baby brain or I was just nuts anyway. I don't know. So anyway, I said, sure. He gets to the top and I'm not feeling well. It's hot in Australia. I had summer babies in Australia. It's like 45 degrees Celsius. It was killer. Anyway, so I was stinking hot. And so anyway, he gets to the top and I'm just sitting there giant. And he says, Mommy, I'm scared. Oh, my heart sunk. I knew. I thought, what did I do? Now I knew him. He would have gone into full panic mode. And when there were people around, they said, we'll go up and get him. And I said, no, he's just going to want Mom. He'll freak out if someone else goes up there. I had to go. I was so mad at him for even asking to go up there. And I was mad at myself for letting him. So anyway, I had to shimmy up this ladder that was only like that round. I had to keep moving my belly up and down the rungs, trying to position the baby and not squish her, trying to get up this ladder. By the time I got to the top, I was sick all night. I was sick all 9 months with her. I was not feeling well. I was hot and I was mad. So I get to the top and he sees my face and he goes, uh-oh. So I picked him up and I just chucked him down like a rocket. And all I heard, he's going down this tube thing. All I heard was his head clunking the sides as he goes down. And I could see the end and I could see him shoot out. He shot way out. He shoots out and lands on his back. So I said, get out of the way. I'm coming down. I couldn't go back down the ladder with the baby. Like I was just too big. So I had to hang onto my belly and the same thing. I could hear my head clunk in the sides. I went flying out, landed on my back. And as soon as I did, you know what he said to me? He said, can I go again, Mommy? I said, put your shoes on. We're going home now. And I thought, that is mothering. Is that just mothering to a T? How stupid are we sometimes? But you just get in these situations with kids. I couldn't just throttle them, and myself too. But anyway, we both survived. The baby was just fine, and we never went back to that Hungry Jacks again. Anyway, lesson learned. Okay, so if you want to check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Okay, I do have a wait list for coaching, but I like to mix up the ages, so I never know what age I'm going to take. I was going to take someone on yesterday, but then an old client came back to me, so I couldn't. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me and happy parenting. I'll be back again sometime tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.